What up, family? It's the Bitesize Breakdown crew, and we are back again with another episode of Bigger Bite. We're going to break down our favorite movies and this time television shows. And we're here to talk about Spider-Noir. Shout out to Q. He wanted to be here, but just things didn't work out for him. You might see him eventually, finally, on another one. But I'm here, as always, with Nick, and back again. Might as well be a member of Bitesize Breakdown now. At least on the YouTube side. One Mr. Harrison Martin. Harrison, I'll start with you. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling good. As you notice, my Band-Aid is gone. Officially back to my fresh face and just ready to talk about some Spider-Noir. Anything Spider-Man related, I am down. I think he's like my second or third favorite Marvel hero. So,
who's your first or second?
Oh, Blade is number one, hands down. That the Wesley Snipes movie I saw when I was a kid, just fell in love with Blade after that. Second, let's just say Spider-Man for now. There might be somebody else, but probably Spider-Man for now. We'll bump him up to 2.
Hey, there we go. Nick, how you feeling? And who is your favorite Marvel character?
I think Spider-Man is also my second, but at times can be my first. I just always really connected with, at least in films, the Wolverine character. That was probably like my Marvel go-to. But Hugh, we need to give Hugh a break. Like, it's after this set of movies, it's time to let the man rest.
Till he's 90.
Till he's 90.
Till he's 90. Mine's has actually always been Wolverine, but I will always shout out Nightcrawler because Nightcrawler is just my dude. Love him to death. But we are here to talk about one Nicolas Cage, sans Rubik's Cube, still punching Nazis, still having the wind follow him. Did that actually happen? I don't know. But this show is going to knock it out. This show is great. This show continues the run of the Spider-Verse being probably the best run of Spider-Man related things, period. And I'm gonna go over to you, Harrison, as our guest. What are your thoughts on the show overall? How did you feel about it? Did you like that it was just all episodes dropped at once? Would you rather have been week to week? And what stood out to you?
I loved it. I thought this was an excellent outing by Sony after their terrible run of movies. Television seems to be, at least for now, where they need to stay. I thought it was kind of refreshing, actually, that this isn't the same Spider-Man Noir from the Into the Spider-Verse animated movie. It is a very similar but different version of Ben Reilly, and dropping all the episodes at once. I love the binge because I can watch it as I please. It's all there. If I want to watch 3 episodes a day, I can do that, take a break, come back. When it drops week to week, most of the time, unless I have the time, I wait for it all to drop and then I just start watching it. So personally, the binge is what I prefer for my streaming shows. And again, all the episodes were great. This was so well done. Lord and Miller, just masterclass at the Spider-Man universe. Sony should just sign them to an overall deal if they haven't already.
For sure. I'm going to have to agree about the binge model and being able to pick and choose, because for me, I actually say the first 3 episodes were kind of slow for me. Like I had to get into it, but ended up watching it at my own leisure and kind of packing it into 2 or 3 days. That actually showed me how great the show was because it needed that. Like the character building, the foundation. If you look at our reviews on Bitesize Breakdown, Nick mentions like it's a part of the genre. Noir can be slow at times, and I think that build up at the beginning just made everything land so much better at the end, especially the relationships you get with the entire ensemble between. One, the fact that this is Ben Reilly. When they first mentioned his name, I was like, oh shit, we didn't know who Spider-Noir was. It's a different one. The fact that this is Ben Reilly, comparing that Ben Reilly to the one that not Brooklyn Nine-Nine dude. Oh my gosh. And Andy Samberg. Andy Samberg plays in Across the Spider-Verse, and you get a different version with him and Robbie and Janet, I think is his secretary's name. With that set of characters, all the bad guys and the anti-heroes you get with Legion Lee's character and all of those. I think it was a great overall season, while individual parts of individual episodes might feel slow, but as a whole, man, did they deliver. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a series that benefits from the binge model. I think on a week to week, it would be a lot easier to kind of fall out of this world that they immerse you in. So I do think the binge was the right model for this. I think it's a really enjoyable time. It's a really entertaining series. Um, Honestly, probably the biggest takeaway from this for me is I'm now interested in more limited series based on the other Into the Spider-Verse characters. I think you can do a lot with it. And yeah, I don't necessarily need to see a season two. I like that this kind of lives on its own. I'm not going to complain about a season two, but the idea of just kind of getting to look at all these different versions of the Peter Parker Spider-Man story through different characters is really cool to me.
Yeah, and let's get this out of the way. The two versions, I thought both were absolutely beautiful. But yes, the black and white is probably the way to go. But I will mention, I hate smart TV sometimes because I watched the final episode and I tried for the life of me to get it to the black and white version, and there was no setting on my TV that would let me get it back to it. And I was pissed. I'm like, yo, but it actually took me like a good 5 minutes to realize I wasn't watching the black and white version. And that showed me like, yo, the color version is actually extremely well done, very striking, very beautiful, but not like overly striking. And bringing up Hugh again, he mentioned that it reminded him of Dick Tracy. I don't think it's like it's that stark. I think when you like get into it, you notice the colors, but it's not so stark that it takes you out of it. But definitely black and white version is the version to go.
Yeah, that's I watched the whole thing in black and white. I didn't even bother with the color just because I just really be really immersed in that uh classic noir film, Turner Classic Movies type of feel. So, and I've seen like clips online of it in color. It looks fine. Is maybe like if I revisit it in the future, I'll do like a color run. But yeah, I agree. Black and white is the way to go.
I think that the story fits the black and white more, but I do think it's really important that you at least watch one episode in color. I was lucky enough that I got to see the first two episodes in the theater. So they gave us one in black and white and one in color as an early screening. And the color is gorgeous. It pops in a way that other movies that you see in theaters, like they don't hit the same way. It's very like comic book style, the way the color really hits you and how vibrant it is. But when you watch the story a little further on, you can tell that it's a story that's meant to be told in black and white. And there are little things, whether it's like, I think it's like in episode 2, there's like a rainstorm, and you can just, the vibe of it is just a little bit different when it's in color than when it's in black and white. So I do think if you're going to watch it, I do recommend that you watch it in black and white. But like Harrison said, after the fact, it's very well worth revisiting at least an episode or two in color.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I've been saying that black and white is the way to go. It fits the story so well, just like Nic Cage just fits noir perfectly. Talk on Nick for a bit. Not that Nick, but Nic Cage, and how he did here. I was waiting for the weirdness to come, and I think that like he built perfectly into when the weird came out. It just fits so damn well. I heard his some kind of quote in terms of where he was talking to Sam Raimi when he was thinking about being I guess Raimi went to him as a possibility for Green Goblin. Mm-hmm. And Nic Cage went to start talking about like, yo, you got to do a scene where Peter Parker is just being a spider on his own. And that scene, the last couple of episodes with the little ticks and whatever of like an arachnid trying to come out the entire time, it was a perfect way for Nic Cage to show his range of just him being him.
Yeah, I think the show works very well. Like we talked about the aesthetic and the look of the show. The reason it works as well as it does is because of Nicolas Cage. There's something about the mix of sarcasm and manic energy that he has that just, in watching this, I was thinking, it's so heavily Nic Cage coded. Who else would I put in this role? and I really struggled to come up with someone else that would do all the different versions of whether it's a little bit campy, whether it's, like I said, the sarcasm, the comedy. I don't know, even like another character, obscure style actor like a Willem Dafoe. I just don't think anyone was going to be able to hit this in the way that Nic Cage did. And he's what elevates a series above everything else to me.
Yeah, I agree. Nicolas Cage is one of the finest actors of our time, and I think first he has an Oscar, and he has permission to film as many crappy movies or TV shows as he wants because he just loves the craft of acting. He goes in, he reads the script, he's like, I'll see what I can do with this, and he just enjoys doing it. I believe when Moon Knight came out, Ethan Hawke gave an interview and they asked him, well, who's your like favorite actor of all time? And he said, Nicolas Cage. He says if you watch everything he does, some of the movies are not that great, but he's always given 100%. And the person who said, I believe, like Nicolas Cage in this series, he's like a little bit of Bugs Bunny that he threw into the performance, and it is great. He is an amazing performance. He definitely understands the character, and I don't know if a lot of people know this. Like Nicolas Cage is a big comic book fan. He loves comic books. He loves superheroes. His acting name is based off of Luke Cage. The last name, he changed it from Coppola to Cage because he loved the Luke Cage comic books and thought that was a sick name. And like, I agree. I heard the story of Sam Raimi of him wanting to, like, he couldn't do the role of Gollum. But he said, hey, make sure you have him behaving like a spider. He definitely brought a lot of this to the role. And personally, if I'm Marvel, if I'm Kevin Feige, I'm calling Sony if I'm like, we need him from Secret Wars now. He's in Secret Wars now. We're gonna get him in there with Andrew, Toby, and Tom Holland. Yeah, it would be great to see the four of them together. And if for some reason if that scene just turned into black and white and they're like, "What's going on?" He's like, "What? This is normal." I think that would be hilarious.
We just throw everybody in the Secret Wars and make it work. Who gives a shit? Honestly, the thing with Nick is that he's so good and has so much gravity that you can risk him overshadowing everybody, and he does not here. That's also why this show works so well. This Nick calls him the BMO guy, but Lamorne Morris as Robbie Robertson, and again, in the early episodes, I was a little worried. Like, I love Lamorne and he's really, really good. But he's starting to go into the background, and then he just kept getting better and better and better. My favorite part, I think, of maybe the entire series are the two times that Robbie acts like he's Ben Reilly and does the voice. He does it on the phone first, and then he turns around and does it in the mask. And like, this is why you grab Winston. This is why you grab him, because he has the heart and also like a seriousness under the heart as well. That is a great juxtaposition to Nick. And then I don't know if I've seen her anywhere before, but Karen Rodriguez is Janet, just being the heart in the middle of all of that. And again, I have only talked about the PI side of things, but I'll start with them, and go to wherever y'all want. Nick, how do you feel about like the dynamics between the ensemble and how everybody did playing off of Nick being your centerpiece?
Well, to those of you listening who are outside of Canada, Lamorne Morris is the spokesperson for BMO, the Bank of Montreal, and we are inundated with commercials featuring him all the time. So I was not a New Girl watcher, so he has become the BMO guy to me, and probably
so it's pronounced BMO, not BMO. See, I thought it was BMO the whole damn time.
Like Adventure Time BMO? That's funny.
And I think he's great in this. I think he has the exact mix of, he can stand up to Cage, but he also, similar to what you just said about Cage, he doesn't overshadow anything. He knows his role, to quote Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he works it really well. And as good as, it's funny about Janet because, like I said, we got the first 2 episodes before the rest were released. And my prevailing opinion when I saw those was, man, this show is funny. And it gets away from that intentionally later as the series goes on. But in those first 2 episodes, it is almost an outright comedy. And Janet is one of the stars of that. I do think she kind of falls a little bit into the background as the series goes on at different points. And I actually wanted a little bit more of her. But early on in the series, she is a clear highlight. And I think everyone on the camaraderie of the group on the PI side works really well.
Yeah, I enjoyed. I was a New Girl watcher, so I've been a big fan of Lamar Morris for a while. I thought he was really good at Robert as Robbie Robertson. And the thing about the show, even though the show is in black and white, it is still set in the 1930s, and the show is not colorblind. You definitely you see those scenes of him going to places where a black person in that time can't be. He had to go to the back door and tip that one bellhop. The one lady threatened, "Hey, what'll happen if I scream right now? You're in the White Sun Hotel." Those scenes with him and just moving in that space, I thought was done really well. And Janet, she's probably my next favorite character on the list, and mainly off of the one scene where she shows up and like he slips that he's a spider, and she's like, "Yeah, I know that." And they show all the clips of the times where he was drunk and he revealed to her that, "Oh, I'm the spider. I'm actually the spider," and she just kind of kept it on the hush since then. Because I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't see it coming, and I just thought that was hilarious. It was a hilarious scene to throw in, and that's definitely something out of Lord Miller's playbook, to add that in a scene and then to apply context to it later. So yeah, I thought the supporting cast on the PI side was done really well.
Going over to Silvermane side, I have a standout actor, but I'll bring that person up a little later, unless y'all bring them up first. I am gonna shout out Lee Jun Lee, who has in the last year picked the lane of doing so well of the person you want to root for, but also the person you're like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's doing her own thing between Sinners and telling them motherfuckers to come in, and this Cat Hardy being the anti-heroes of anti-heroes. I am going to screw anybody and any person at any point at any time for the person I love, and the relationship between her and Flint Marko, and actually believing that if it was another time and another day, she might actually really fall for Ben Reilly. I think Lee Jun Lee was great. I think Jack Houston was great. Abraham Papula, I guess is how you pronounce it, for Lonnie Lincoln. And I'll just throw it out here right now. My standout of the entire series is Andrew Lewis Caldwell as Dirk Layden. He just stole the whole damn show for me. Every time he was on screen, it's very hard to take something from Nicolas Cage, and Andrew as I thought he was going to be Electro.
Megawatt is what they called him in this series.
Every single second on screen, he stole just pure joy and hatred and mayhem and quoting, and it is something that I could see Nic Cage doing, but just with its own brand of mischief. Andrew Lewis Caldwell was so damn good in this.
I think he's good. I think he is the most comic book style villain of all of them. And it comes down to whether that's what you are looking for or whether that kind of takes you out of things too much, because it is a fairly grounded series. So I do think that is the one, not a knock on him, just like the one notable thing that made his character stand out was it really did feel like a Spider-Man villain, which I find are very comic based, even in the superhero genre. I really liked Lonnie. It's something about the character arc, and he was kind of the only one that throughout I was rooting to get healed. And yeah, like his relationship with Robbie, I thought that was probably the standout. And because we just went through everyone without mentioning him, I enjoyed Brendan Gleeson. I think he played the role that he was supposed to play. He was menacing. He was humorous. He felt like this kind of kingpin. And I think him up against Cage and not having them be this hero villain aspect and having things like Cage working for him, and there's just not like a pure hatred between them, that they kind of have this jokey like, I'm gonna get you, not if I get you first. I think that really worked between the two of them, and I think he worked as just the crime boss of this world that we were playing in.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really does feel like they understand most of Spider-Man's villains are not mustache twirly evil guys. They are tragic villains. Something happens to them and turns them into a freak or a monster. And you get that with all these guys who are experimented on in that Nazi camp, and how their powers are just going out of control. Like Flint Marko, which I drew a lot of parallels with the Flint Marko in Spider-Man 2, like someone who just wants to get better, can't, and it keeps falling into this life of crime, even though he should get out. Lonnie Lincoln Tombstone, I thought that was a great exploring once again a black character in the 1930s. He fought for his country, came back, can't find a way out of poverty, and chooses a life of crime because, like, if I'm going to die anyway, this is better than the life I was living. And I thought it was an interesting choice in casting Brendan Gleeson as Silvermane, because he's playing him as like an Irish prohibition like type of guy, where normally Silvermane is like an Italian mobster. So switching him to an Irish mobster, I think, was an interesting choice. But Brendan Gleeson did a great job. He was very imposing, and he was, the fact that he was older but still like struck fear into people's eyes, even though he didn't have these abilities, I thought was fantastic. And Derek Layton Megawatt, again, as the show went on, I loved him more and more. I loved how silly and comical he was. And I kept asking myself, like, I know they want to do Electro. I don't know why Electro's not in this, but is this a real comic book character? Did they make him up? But apparently he is from a Spider-Man comic, and they just snatched him and put him on the show. But yeah, he was fantastic. The way he was treating everything like he was in a play or a movie. And like he first sees the spider, and he's like, oh, I get to be your villain. This is going to be great. And they have that first fight. So yeah, I really enjoyed on the villain side all those characters. Lee Jun Lee, Cat Hardy, it's like fantastic. I'm sad if there is a season 2. Like she went off to where, like, Paris or whatever. It would be great if somehow they could bring her back, because I thought her chemistry with Nicolas Cage was great, and them two together. So I think this show is just so great. It's so great on so many levels.
The thing with Dirk Layton, with Andrew Lewis Caldwell, that I like the most is, I think my favorite aspect of the entire show is the balance between the groundedness of noir and the comic book campiness that can be there. And it mixed so well. The reason Megawatt works so well for me is because Flint and Lonnie are more grounded. So you have that leeway for Dirk to be the dude to be like, yo, Silvermane has no fucking power. Like, what are we doing here? Let me play off of each other. And the entire time going into the story, going into whether it's Lord and Miller or the writers of the show, just the whole team behind it, I would never think that Spider-Man lore would fit so well and so seamlessly into a noir story. Like, it didn't seem out of nowhere. It like go from Captain America, the first Avenger, to any other thing. Scientific experimentation with Nazis is a thing that we have seen so much. So the tragic love story, the tragic characters, the experimentation, finding a cure, the doctor who's just trying to help her son, and finding out that was whatever his name was actually her son. Like, the lore works so perfectly. Nothing felt out of place. And I think this story, even with its slow parts, just was a blending of two different genres as seamlessly as I've seen any other kind of blending that I've seen in a long time. Harrison, talk about the story and what you felt on how they brought those two together.
I thought the story was handled really well. I really enjoyed the twist with the doctor's son, the old guy turning out to be the doctor's son. That's another thing I didn't see coming. And I don't know if they mentioned this like explicitly in the show, but I guess in my head canon, this is what it is. His ability was that he just had like dog powers, but like a dog, he was aging quickly, and that's why he was old. Because he said, it's got me aging like a dog, Skip. And I was like, why would he say it like that? So, because I remember thinking back to the room, some were getting like irradiated minerals, which is why you got like a Sandman and the flaming guy. Some got animals, which is how you got the spider. And Lonnie Lincoln, I think, was like technically he's has lizard skin, even though they made it work for this show. And just like you said, like the way everything just kind of came together, the noir aspect, it worked. It felt like Spider-Man. Yes, they changed some things to make it, fit with the time period and fit with the characters, but it still felt like true and true Spider-Man story from beginning to end. And even the fact that like he doesn't want to be the Spider. Every Spider-Man goes to that. I don't want to do this anymore, or I'm just doing it for the fun. Or every time I fall in love with somebody, they leave me. I'm having a mental crisis. My powers aren't working. It all worked. It all felt just Spider-Man. And again, great story.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because at times I would watch this show and wonder, earlier on at least, if it even needed to have that Spider-Man aspect, and if I was just more interested in the PI story and the story of Ben Reilly. But then as the series went on, especially as it got into the latter half and we got kind of the team up of these anti-heroes, as you call them, and it started to feel like superhero content, that's when I think it all really started to come together, where by those last episodes, I still would have watched a Ben Reilly PI show, don't get me wrong, but it worked. It worked in a time when I wasn't sure it was going to early on, but it worked. It worked as a superhero series, and it felt like a superhero series, which I think is the most important thing.
For sure. Most definitely. I'm last thing for me is nobody shout him out. We haven't shouted him out, but Lucas Haas comes up and does things, and it's just great. He was Winston, the one that Ben Reilly framed and Kat Hardy framed. So shout out to Lucas Haas. This is gonna be a short episode because there's just a whole lot of good things to say, and that's fine. But last thoughts. Did we miss anything? Anything you wanted to bring up, Nick, before we get up on out of here?
I do think that the one thing that was kind of interesting to see, I mean, we've seen it in animated, but we haven't quite seen it in live action, is how you show the powers of a superhero who is kind of an older superhero, that they don't have Cage move as spry as a Peter Parker. They have him display his powers in a way that it's the powers of a guy in his 50s or whatever he's supposed to be at that time. And I think that is kind of an interesting angle, whether it's him getting drunk and using his powers, just kind of pissed off on the guys that are talking shit, or it's just like the way he swings. Like, it's not the same as when you watch an Andrew Garfield swing. They made the little adjustments that you needed to make everything that he did believable, which I thought was a really, really important aspect of the show.
Yeah, and making him flawed as hell and that old and dealing with all of that really, again, grounded the superhero nature and made it work seamlessly. Harrison, I do have a question I'm going to end off with, but before that, anything that you feel like we missed or you want to bring up and talk about real quick before we get to this last one?
I can't remember the actor's name, but the little orphan boy that he would have do things for him.
I was trying to figure out where he was from, and then I was like, Widows. It's the kid from Widows.
Okay, yeah, that he was really good. And like two things I finished with. There's sometimes, you watch one of these, like Marvel released a lot of their Disney Plus TV shows. You're like, they basically had a movie and they cut it up into episodes. This, I feel like, even though it was made for streaming, they could have cut some of the storylines out and made a feature-length film out of this, and it would have been great. I really would have loved to see this as a story on the big screen. They could have done multiple screenings in black and white and probably like a couple screenings a day in color. And I think clearly there's some agreement with Marvel Studios that they can't do a theatrical live action Spider-Man movie that's not Tom Holland, or I guess on television either, because this is called Spider-Noir and not Spider-Man Noir. He has to be Ben Reilly. He can't be Peter Parker. Apparently they're free reign on the animated side, but I don't know. Maybe they need to renegotiate that deal, because if they have ideas like this, they need to start pushing them to the big screen more often, because, again, fantastic show.
Spider-Man is, like, for the most part, the most consistent Marvel property across the years. Maybe they got like one or two misses, but this, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, the original ones, the new ones from Tom Holland, Spider-Man, for the most part, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and Andrew Garfield is Spider-Man, all great. Kerry Christopher is the name of the kid from Widows and the kid who helped them out. My last question before we get out of here is, Nick, you brought it up a little bit earlier. Do we want to see this continue? And if we do, where do we want to see it? Harrison, thank you for answering this. I always thought about, is this actually connected to Spider-Verse? Is this a different version? Do we bring that in? I was wondering if he was ever going to bring it up. Where do you want to see it go from here? If we do you want to see it go anywhere else?
I don't. It's interesting. I read a comment today where someone asked Nic Cage about a season 2. And even just his answer, it felt like he was content with it ending there. He said something like, we did what we set out to do. And it wasn't like this, well, if we get the views, like it's always a possibility. I hope this can happen. I'd love to return to the character. He didn't say any of that. He said we set out what we wanted to do. And I think that letting some of these things just live as they are sometimes is an underrated thing in film and television. So I'm fine with doing this. To me, the path forward, like I said, would be telling other character stories from the Spider-Verse universe. I think that there's something you can do there, especially if they're all these kind of one-off seasons. It's a really good way to expand the spider lore, so to speak.
Me personally, I do want a season 2. I want a season 3, 4, at least to 5. That tends to be what Amazon does, because The Boys is over. They need some kind of superhero content on that app, and I think this would be the perfect slot to put in there. And another thing, I believe, I'm not sure if it was before Spider-Noir, around the same time, they were also, for Amazon, they were working on Silk Spider Society, which is supposed to be, it's not Penny Parker from Into the Spider-Verse, but it's another Asian Spider-Woman character that they were working on. And apparently it was going to be her joining a society of other Asian spider characters. And that was going to be a TV show, but I guess they couldn't quite crack it and they canceled it. I think after seeing this show, again, get Lord and Miller on it and just restart the production on that show and just have them make some tweaks. Because like you said, more spider stories, I think would be great if we got that show, Silk Spider Society, Spider-Noir season 2, Spider-Man 2099 in live action, something like there's so many different Spider-Man in the multiverse. They can do so many things. It would be great to watch.
Am I wrong? Isn't there like a Spider-Punk something like in development somewhere? I feel like I saw that somewhere.
There was at one
doing
point
something for Spider-Punk.
He's supposed to, Daniel Kaluuya, I think they were writing a movie. Spider-Punk and Spider-Gwen was supposed to get their own spin-off movies. So there was also supposed to be a live action Spider-Woman movie directed by what's her name? She was married to Ted Lasso.
Olivia Wilde?
Yeah.
Olivia Wilde. She was supposed to direct it, but I guess that was officially canceled. But take that and dump it to Amazon. Change it to a streaming show. I would love a live action Into the Spider-Verse, because they can't just keep doing Tom Holland over in the MCU. I mean, they can, but they clearly don't want to do that. That's why they released all those bad movies in theaters. This is their way forward, and that's what they should do.
Yeah, as far as recently mentioned, there is supposed to be a Spider-Punk Kobe Brown movie with Daniel Kaluuya redoing the role. So
that would be dope.
No word on it, unfortunately, but it is still in development.
All I know is that 2027, Nic Cage returning as Spider-Man Noir in Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is by far my most anticipated thing ever. Like ever. Like probably more than Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings, and I cannot wait. I think that might be the best trilogy of all time if it sticks to landing, which it should, based on how much Lord and Miller have put into this and all of it. So excited, so happy to have this show. We should all be in black and white right now, so I hope you like that. But for Harrison, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on all the social medias except for TikTok at FlixFrog. Want to follow me personally is at MovieGuru23. Love talking about movies, TV shows, anything comic booky, movie related. Check me out.
He will be back for Brand New Day. So come back when we talk about that and that releases. Go over to BitesizeBreakdown.com, see our reviews for this shows and everything else, our latest top fives, and our most anticipated for the second half of the year movies and TV shows, which might also include Brand New Day. But with that, for Harrison, for Nick Cage and Jack Houston and Kerry Christopher and all those people in the Spider-Verse, we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.